Vlad the Mover here again, guys. I want to talk to you about an issue that is very common for smaller moving companies, and that is employment. And especially if you're down a driver, what do you do? Now, your time is best allocated serving the office as a business owner, but there comes a time, again, when, being a small company, that you are going to either fire someone, and in the rehiring process there's going to be some tough times. And so what workarounds do you have? What options do you have? One, of course, you can just pause operations and continue to book while searching for a solution for a refit. But what I do is I simply just drive the truck, and my guys, a team of two can handle quite a bit. So, especially for the smaller size jobs, the typical two-man jobs. So I can either throw on my work uniform and then lose the entire day, or I can see the $200, or $300 that you pay for your helper for the day, as a loss financially. But as long as you're profiting on the day, it's not really a loss, but is a much bigger loss to not get in touch with customers on time when the leads initially come in, and then to just continue to grow your business, whether it's outreach or follow-ups, email marketing, social media presence, things like that, where you got to make sure you're staying on top of it. And when you're losing that time, especially in the midst of the moving season, it is better for you. And you got to think about how early on and how busy you are, but you got to think about that, right? You got to think about what your time is worth and where the company value is, as opposed to throwing on a shirt and saving, $5,000 a month. What is that 5,000 worth when you're losing 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 clients? You have to do the math. So there are workarounds in this situation, and we are actually, for the first time in a long time, a short driver, and I've been on the truck. So what I actually do is I bring my backpack, my laptop, and if it's like a customer house right now, we're doing a quick just internal, but the previous one that we did, that we loaded up, was an apartment, and I just jumped in a coffee shop and did my work. And then now, what's going on, Oscar? Say hi to the camera. Some shrink wrap. That's Oscar. Oscar's a longtime G. But so basically what we'll do is, like, I'll set up and I have my hotspot. Another thing too is good to get an outlet that's compatible with with like a MacBook or whatever charger, because like the standard USBs are not going to be able to fuel your laptop. So that's kind of another thing in the works for me until I figure out a good solution. It is hard. Hiring is very difficult for the moving industry in times like this, because the standard of what hard work used to mean changes every year, especially with the newer and younger generations. Not to to talk down upon it, but it's just the old standard that we all grew up in is not the same as it once was. So it takes time to find good movers, and especially in the summer, most of the solid movers have already locked in with a company to secure their needs. And this is a time where kind of just hoping someone has left their company, or someone was maybe just kind of like figuring things out in between. So hopefully we find someone. The longer you're in the business too, you're solid guys, no other solid guys, and there's just a network where really in the winter is where like the whole entire like team shift stuff happens if you present an offer, because most of the time these movers, they want to secure their summer, they want to secure their early fall, and then they start thinking in the winter. So that's really when it's not ideal to be making that change now. It's very difficult actually. So what you really want to end up doing is then, but for now that's kind of going to be the solution. Hopefully I find someone, and if not, then this will be the summer, doing work in the coffee shops and doing work out of the truck, but not losing business, not falling back, and ultimately continuing the growth. But yeah, so that's what you get with the one truck operation. But we're probably gonna we're probably going to get a couple more. I am bumping up our advertising. It is a slow real estate market. And, ultimately the idea will be to maybe run a few more trucks and expand our company to, like a 2-3 truck operation. That's kind of where I'm really looking into it. That can be easily still managed, because there are other businesses that I'm working on already. I'm working on a few software companies and then a couple of other ventures. So that's gonna be probably the max that we're gonna try and go for. We're not really gonna go for like a big moving operation, but sometimes that's all you need. And if you are smart and you price yourself correctly, you can be more profitable than the big box companies, because if you can sell yourself and if you can be, a solid salesman, and you can relate to your customers, figure out their problems, and talk to them the right way, you can book jobs at a much higher price point than the big box companies, and they will go for you because they're not going for the moving service. They're going for you. They trust you. So if you can make them trust you, they will book with you. So that being said, sometimes a 3-truck operation can be more profitable than a 5-6 truck operation that takes every job and undersells themselves. So it's all about how you position yourself. It's all about how you position yourself and what degree of price point do you feel like you were willing to downgrade yourself to, because you have to have a threshold. One company could be charging half the price as you, but having twice as many jobs, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're more profitable. And in fact, they have much more expenses, much more employment costs, much more gas costs, much more material costs. So you got to make sure that you're being profitable. And that's how, as a 1-truck operation right now, the way that we position ourselves, I'm fairly confident that we're more profitable than several of the companies that are doing 2-3 truck operations in the market right now in our local area, because we don't necessarily budge, and we have a specific point where we stand. So that's really kind of something to consider too. But all in all, that's kind of what I wanted to go about, like the little workarounds of, having a shortage of drivers, having a shortage of foremen. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta do what you gotta do to make sure that the jobs keep coming through and that you don't lose your reputation. When you promise something, you gotta uphold it in this industry, because that's what you're gonna be known as. Yeah, sometimes it's gonna be weird, like, why is this guy sitting in the truck? But guess what? The job's done. So you got to do what you got to do. That being said, guys, this is Vlad the Mover on an on-site video. Follow, like, subscribe for plenty more videos to come. I'm here to help, and let's have a nice, profitable moving season.